To the top left of the map, the Protoss player starting for Axiom-Acer after taking down Match1. It is
Axiom-Acer.
Very well known in Wings of Liberty as well as in Heart of the Storm, especially offline and foreign events. So up against the player to the bottom right, the ace of NS HoSeo. He is
NS HoSeo Jakji.
I was so happy when he qualified. He was in the finals against Anyong Prime, and I was actually like, I wanted both of them to advance because for the teams it's really important to have additional players in the individual league. Probably a little bit more for NS HoSeo. And I was so happy when Jakji qualified. I talked to him before it. I also recorded him first person playing those games in the finals. And he was down after losing the first match. And he really looked a little bit crushed. But then he bounced back to those 2 games and advanced. He's now in the individual league again, and that's where he belongs. He said from the beginning when I interviewed him, he said, I know that after my GSL win, I kind of fell into this big slump, and I'm really sorry about that. I'm sorry to my fans that this happened, and I will do my best to just get out of this and go back into the Premier League. And he is such a cool kid, good opinions, very vocal about them. If you ask him, not a guy who will put himself in the front. Yeah, no fluff. He's just like very solid guy, and he's, I don't know, I just like him. He's a really nice guy to talk to.
Yeah. Well, moving into this game, we have Jakji going for a gas first opening, which Alicia has already scouted. And the initial 50 gas will be put into that Reaper. And since the probe sees no factory made, he knows it's the Reaper. Otherwise a factory would have been started. Or it's proxied. So he's probably going to check for that on his way back home just to make sure there's no proxy Widow Mines, which we have seen in the past. And look at this eBay block of the natural, something he also has not yet seen.
Yeah, he's gonna spot it now. He can at least try to electrocute the SCV a little bit and make sure that there are not too many hit points on that engineering bay.
Yeah, a really nice micro here by Jakji though, trying to get as many hit points on it as possible.
But now he has to run away, and whoa, last second. But yeah, he does it. I highlighted that recently, but I want to put it out again, guys. If you ever want to take down an SCV that builds a building, doesn't matter if you're a Zerg player that is up against the bunker rush, if you are a Protoss that wants to kill that probe that is doing the engineering bay block, you have to hold down your shift key and right-click several times on the harvester, on the SCV, the building SCV, because if you don't do that and just attack it once, then the SCV will start with his shifting pattern, and then the unit that was attacking it will focus on the building instead of the SCV itself, and that is not what you want. So always hold down the shift key and then multiple right-clicks to make sure that it's being followed.
Oh, he kills one SCV, probes a killer, could get the second one.
That probe has a lot of determination.
Oh, the Marines are out though, he has to run. But yeah, that works in all matchups. Even in TBT, in a rare circumstance, you could harass with, like, if you scout CC first.
You know, Alicia in this matchup is actually a lot better than he is in Protoss versus Protoss. In Heart of the Swarm, he already defeated a couple of opponents offline. He took down MVP, for example, at the Season 1 Grand Finals of WCS with the 2-1 in the group stage, of course. And in the GSTL, he took down Supernova. Lost his games versus Keen, but still, decent record here for him.
Yeah. This is really shifting up to be an interesting game. The pylon to the bottom left by Alicia is not actually going to be used for any harassment or proxies. It just uses it for scouting. And also later, the run-bys. It will see a third command center placed as well. The very fast +1 that we see from Jakji is going to come into play here. That's why he went gas first. Gets a good scout, goes for the initial upgrade. He's going to hit a quick timing with this to try to trade against sentries. And if he had killed that mothership core, he would have been feeling great about this. Fortunately for him, it did not happen that way.
Still gets in the main base and finds out what's happening here. He sees everything that is being built. Very important here for him, of course. So the Reaper, with all the scouting information that he needs, served his purpose and dies the death of a hero.
Yep. Saw the Forge. Did not, however, see the Twilight Council that is now added. And I could see a quick DT build coming in here. It's a bit risky to go for this, and then the timing is a little bit off for most DT builds that you would see. But that is also what makes it a lot less predictable.
Yeah, definitely true. And if he, I mean, we've seen actually DTs being used so much in the past. It's something that really started now that we have them in Wings of Liberty, in Heart of the Swarm, with a little bit of a different just resource that you have to commit for this. So DTs could be a good option here. Doesn't have to go into it, but it's still an option now in the game. And that is something that was not really the case in Rings of Liberty. It was just too expensive. If you went for DTs, you didn't do damage, then you were so far behind already. So he has options, but I would expect him to go for a more solid build.
Well, you know, he's done nothing. He has not added the DTs, neither has he added Charge or Blink. Templar Archives. That is the last thing I expected to see.
Really fast.
You know, the only player I've seen do this really consistently is Mana, actually, and oftentimes on this very map.
Come on, Wolf. Starts with a P.
Oh, Parting as well.
There you go.
But, this is, you know, even Parting moved away from this after a while. This is pretty cool. I like this, but it in itself is risky because with the Colossus opening, your Colossi are going to do AoE damage no matter what.
Yep.
And they can also walk over close. Templar, if you mess that up even a little bit, they just die, then you're like, whoop, that's unfortunate.
It's certainly right. I mean, with the Templar, you have to be quite careful. If you lose those, then it's all over. On the other hand, you can go for the Storm Drops. We currently see him here with the Warp Prism, with the added speed. And later on, as soon as you get your third phase, if it goes into a longer game, you can always just make it happen and go into the Colossi transition in addition to what you already have on the map. It's also pretty cool to have that Storm out just fast if your opponent goes for an SCV pull. That's a very dangerous strategy to face, but this is not really what Alicia is concerned about. With all the gateways that he's adding, he definitely wants to go all out with this.
Yeah. This is really very much like what we saw Mana do in his up and downs. I mean, this is a long time ago, but it reminds me of it so much. And this timing is not necessarily going to win you the game, but it can do so much damage. It's almost like a Roach Bust type build, where you know you're going to do some damage.
I remember the game that you are talking about. It was actually on this map, Belcher Vestige.
It was
against MMA, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was against Keen.
Oh yeah, the games against MMA he lost those. You're right, and against Keen he won. But the battle down at the bottom left at the third base, and then him zoning out those units, right?
Really good build. I like it a lot. This one's a little bit different. It reminds me of that a lot, just simply because of the map as well. This drop could do some serious damage here. It looks like he wants to scout with it mostly, but oh wow, that was a great storm. So much damage done. The Mothership Core does get focused down. That's all he's going to get, though.
Yeah, but still, that's something. The Warp Prism is spotted on the other hand, and here comes the Warp in, but I don't think he realized it yet. At least there's no reaction.
Not enough units here. Those two Marines and the Marauder that just came out are not going to be enough.
If he focuses down the SCVs, though, and he splits them. Splits, takes down one SCV, is taking down more. Here come those Marines and the Storm.
This is what I'm talking about, though. You know what? Colossus can just walk away here. It's much more difficult to micro your Templar. He does not have charge.
Oh, that Storm didn't do a whole lot.
Not a whole lot at all. He does not make the Archon, and Alicia is trouble.
On a roll here. He's moving in, and so much DPS. Pulling the probes, never a good sign, and all of the Stalkers are gone. He's still losing units at the bottom right, and this base is a goner.
This game seems to be a goner, even though the Zealots are still alive a little bit longer in the main base. He's now cleared them up. Warp Prism goes down as well, and that's game. No storms here. Zealot's not useful in a choke point. Can't even use them with the high ground advantage, and he's going to lose his gateway production here. Those gates are unpowered.
Now he can warp in a couple of high Templars that are being used as Archons, but his tech is already being taken down here, destroyed. And the Marines, they move in. That Archon is gone immediately. Time for the Stellar Step. The Medivac's going for the heal here. And I have to say, Jakji just too good. GG.
The build is, there's a huge hole, and that hole is that if you are using the Zealot Warpments in your opponent's main base, that you don't have a buffer for the storms. So even though he got a good storm off, those Marines just ran through it and then started targeting down the Templar. And if you have the Zealots to buffer, that doesn't happen. But the Zealots were in the main base, so the idea was good, but there was a hole, and Jakji found it.
Yep. Jakji found it, and he took down Alicia. So 2 players left on the NS HoSeo, on the Axiom-Acer bench that could deal with him. But well played. Very well done here by Jakji, and NS HoSeo suddenly tied up with their opponent.
By the way, I got some updates. That build was on Ohana, and I thought so too. I was like thinking at that time, I was like, wait, it was on Belshire Beach? And I'm like,
yeah, Ohana, you're so
I
right.
mean, that was a long time ago, so the Ohana and Belshire Beach and Belshire Vestige, all very similar maps. The way they're laid out.
Of course it was on Ohana. The choke point at the base towards third. Yeah, you're right.
They're all similar maps. I mean, they're structured similarly. So
it's the same Tulsa too, but yeah.
And
that was
they
a long
even
time
both
ago.
have Belshire Vestige and Belshire Beach have the same name. Obviously, Ohana's like the next version of Belshire Beach, and then Belshire Vestige seems to be the next version of Ohana.
But the game that I remembered in particular was the one on Ohana.
Yeah.
I'm quite sure why I went for Belshire there, but yeah. So we now need to see the third player for Team Axiom-Acer up against Jakji.
I feel on Scarlet here.
I would like to see Scarlet. I just don't know how sick is she.
And how good of shape is MMA in right now?
Yeah.
Because I think he's going to be the other one. Because last time we had Axiom-Acer here, Crank said that he wasn't feeling up to snuff on playing. Maybe that's changed since then. So we've basically got 3 players to pick from here.
Yeah, usually Crank, the player that they tend to send out a little bit more against Terran these days. But I think him and Scarlet, they were both like, we don't really feel it today. Like, we're both a little bit sick. So, what's going on in the Axiom-Acer house?
MMA kind of quiet, you know, sitting over there. I could see him coming out. Maybe he's been practicing behind the scenes very, very hard.
Maybe another
could be any of them, you know. This is one of those ones that's really hard for us to predict. It's all about, not about the scores or the rankings of these players, that we're thinking it's more about who's feeling up to it to play against
exactly.
Jakji.
They have a small roster, and with Hart being at MLG, it's of course now for them a little bit more difficult to choose the next players to come out and play here. So that's the one problem that you have if you have a small lineup. For them, their team spirit is amazing, and the atmosphere in the team house is of course also great. We've seen this in so many videos that have been put out by Axiom-Acer. But now they have to rely on just a few players, and who is coming through? It looks like it's going to be Scarlet.
Scarlet coming out here. All players good. Scarlet a good choice as a result.
That T-bench shot couldn't have been better.
Yeah.
That was a look. Oh my god, that ass. Oh my god, did that look funny? Oh, the camera team, that was brilliant.
Well, Scarlet 3-2 in GSTL. And all of those times she played coming out first. So this is her first time not coming out first. Jakji definitely going to be not an easy opponent for her, but this could be a close match.
Guys, we have a break coming up, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we have another break coming up. So we'll be back in just a few with game number 5 here at the GSTL. See you in a few with Scarlet up against Jakji.